Hi, I'm Brittany Ashley, your host of Breaking Norms, Building Dreams, your guide through this transformative journey in both business and life. This is your place crafted for dreamers, doers, or anyone who has been told they can't. Get ready as we challenge those narratives together. You're tuning in live to the United Public Radio Network, airing on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We are streaming on all the popular platforms every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me for a candid and thought-provoking conversation celebrating your unique journey because you are worth it. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. We're actually pre-recording today. And for some of you who haven't seen my face for almost a month, I guess it's been, I'm back, but doing a pre-recording because life has been crazy this year in 2025. So welcome to all the listeners, new listeners. I'm Brittany Ashley, your host of Breaking Norms, Building Dreams. And we are pre-recording on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 and 107.7 in New Orleans. Get ready to escape for the next hour as we break norms and build dreams today with Lisa. Lisa, I'm so excited to have you today.
It's so nice to be here.
I'm so excited because this is one of the many reasons why I started the radio show, which we'll dig in a little bit deep today. So Lisa, everyone, please meet Lisa, the founder of MindMosaic Inclusive HR. With a personal journey shaped by ADHD, Lisa brings a unique perspective to the world of HR and neurodiversity. I'm super excited that you're on today because I've had so many other people come in that aren't special. Like we talk about neurodiversity, but not to this scale. So I'm super excited for it. Lisa is going to be drawing from her global experience across 40 plus countries. She's dedicated in challenging bias and creating inclusive workplace. Lisa works to foster environments where learning, growth, and laughter can thrive. Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming in today.
Oh, thanks. You make me sound so fantastic. That was really great. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe you can just dig in a little bit on who Lisa Lewis is, and then we'll kind of unpeel the onion a little bit today.
Sure. That's a big can of worms because I've got enough words to bring us all the way to next Tuesday. So let's hope I can rein it in. Okay, I'll try to see if I can condense it. So I grew up on the East Coast of Canada. My family's from Newfoundland, but I grew up just outside of Toronto. And going through school, I always thought, my parents called me the fruitcake. I always thought it was a little goofy, a little funny. And I never really thought I was very smart. And so I didn't even bother applying to university. I couldn't even imagine the rejection. So I didn't think there was a point. I was really good in art. So I went into graphic design. And not because it was something I was dying to do, but it was something that I knew that I could make money doing. And so I did that for a couple of years. And right before I was supposed to graduate, I decided to take off to Scotland. Really sound thing, like 2 months before graduation. And I was planning to stay there for a month and ended up staying there for almost 3 years and kind of I'd meet people and keep going on. And then, I moved back to Canada and then I went to the West Coast and then ended up going on cruise ships and started working that way for a while. And the whole time I'm like, what's wrong with me? I can't just get a job and I can't just focus. I'm like, that's it. It's time to grow up, move back to Toronto. And a friend of mine said, do you want to work with kids with autism? And I was like, what's autism? And so I was trained in kind of like behavioral sciences, and I worked for the autism program back in Toronto. And then when I moved out west, just packed up a car with my friend, very last minute again, just all of our clothes in the trunk and a TV, drove across. I got a job with Queen Alexandria, and I was working for the regional autism program here. And then that program shut down. It was like not the BICAM, but the regional program. And it was like the same week I was going on mat leave with my second daughter. And so I stayed home and ate bonbons and played with babies. And at that time, all the people that I was working with, all these different service providers popped up. And so when I came back, I was kind of looking for some part-time work, and our clinical director from the autism program at QA said, hey, come and be my assistant manager. And I'm like, well, I have a new baby. I don't really, I have maybe 5-6 hours a week. She's like, fine. And then within 3 to 4 months, I was the regional manager. And it wasn't because I excelled in the position. It was because it was all the duties. She was like, she wanted to focus on clinical. So she's like, health and safety, all the things. So I was doing that. And then one day she came up to me and she said, you have ADHD. And I was like, shut up. I do not. I've been working in this field forever, like with all these kids with who are autistic and ADHD. Like I would know. And so I did a test, and I think it was like out of 12 traits, I had 11, and I was like, maybe she has something. So I went for an assessment, and it was actually kind of funny. The psychologist said, there's a lot of gray area when we're diagnosing ADHD. Could be from childhood and everything else. And he's like, but you're probably the most ADHD person I've ever met. Usually we start off with mindfulness, but we're going straight to Adderall for you. And I was like, all righty. So that was 10 years ago. And since then I've been collecting labels. And at first there was like this feeling of relief. Mm-hmm. Because I knew something was different, and now I had a name for it. But at the same time, it was grief because I was like, it was like this piece of paper said, "Yep, you're broken. This is right." And so at that moment, I decided I'm going to learn everything that I can about ADHD, so that I can hide it, so that I could be the most productive and no one will ever know, and I'll be really, really effective. And so for the last 10 years, that thought and ideology has definitely morphed into something completely different. Mm-hmm. And the more that I have learned, the more I appreciate who I am and for all the neurotypes. And I find mine's crazy fascinating. So that's kind of how I got here today.
Well, thank you for sharing. And from my end, I don't even remember if I told you, but the whole reason why I started, the name behind this radio show, Breaking Norms, Building Dreams, because I was getting tired of being told that I'm not worthy enough to do what I want to do. And I was just kind of like, screw y'all, I can do what I want to do. And I'm going to show you how to do it and do it 100 times more better.
I love that. And that's
sassy. That's why resilient sassiness comes back.
Yeah, it's like that's very similar to why I started MindMosaic. Mm-hmm. So a number of years ago, my daughter was having some health issues. So I had worked my way up. So I went back to school a number of times and realized I could have gone to university. I took HR management, and then just recently completed my equity, diversity, and inclusion at UBC. But my daughter was having some health issues, so I took some time off work, and I had worked for 3 different organizations over the span of 15, 16 years, but they were all the same people. Mm-hmm. And I had never had an issue getting a job before. I always whizzed through job interviews, and now I had never interviewed at a director level, at a senior manager level, and my ADHD, I talk in 6 different directions and I couldn't stay focused, or my executive functioning. So if someone said, hey, here's the scenario ABC, what would you do? I could answer that. But if someone said, show me a time you showed leadership, my mind goes literally, I can see black. I can't recall those. So I couldn't get past the interview process. Mm-hmm. And so everyone kept telling me, just dumb down your resume and start at the bottom again and work your way up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's not fair. It's not something I want to do. And I figured this was kind of like my midlife crisis gift of, you can choose and do whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. And so I decided to really focus on my passion of learning how minds work and after a 10-year deep dive into the strengths-based model of neurodivergent neurotypes, and might as well use that information for good.
And I love that. Yes, I do get, so my journey with like going through business coaching and getting some certifications there, I felt like there was such a pushback just in getting like the examination. It's not going through the exam, you're already experiencing anxiety on a good day, preparing all the things. Anyone might be able to relate to this, but oh, my cat just scared me. But the anxiety just intensifies when you know that you have an exam coming up and you struggle with, like I struggle with reading in a fast capacity. And so if I can't read to that capacity and I know that we have like a 3-hour exam time mark, then my anxiety is intensified like 6 times greater. And I just feel like when I get into that exam, I just freeze, because I'm looking at all the variables and all the things. I'm just trying to pass a course that I know I studied for. I'm the kind of person that reads it, highlights it, make post-it notes, reread it. Like I do like 150%. And for when I was doing my coaching journey, I just felt that my whole life, really, at the end of the day, I throw it on out there. I've brought it up in the past shows that it was really hard for me. I felt like I was put in a box and was told that I'm not worthy enough to be in that classroom because I have dyslexia. Yes, I'm self-diagnosed with ADHD because I've had some researchers come on and pretty much told me, like, you have probably ADHD too. Yeah. I'm like, oh, it all makes sense now. Now I understand the full picture of dyslexia and ADHD. This whole time I just thought it was dyslexia. But the more I've been doing my own research and understanding myself a little bit more, like this year I'm turning 39, and I've been wanting to learn so much more so I can help my kids too. Oh, it cut out from the speaking.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Is it working?
You muted yourself.
That's exactly the same. I have 2 girls who are also neurodivergent, and I wanted to learn everything that I could to support them because I didn't want them to feel like they were not smart. Exactly. And I think I've almost like gone over. They're like, "Oh my God, Mom, not everything's ADHD."
Yeah.
And that is so true. Like I'm also dyslexic, and I've done a lot of different pre-assessments. So, and it looks like autistic as well. But people don't always know is that 80% of individuals who are neurodivergent usually have another neurodivergence. And individuals who are either autistic or ADHD, there's like a 60 to 70% chance that they're also autistic and ADHD. So, and then the other thing that I just learned, which was so interesting, is that if you are autistic and ADHD, there is a totally different presentation, like its own presentation. It's odd ADHD. And it's like, yeah, that just aligns with me so well. And when you learn, it's not so much that I don't love the idea of a label, or that it's learning. It was like a gift of understanding. If I'm getting, like, during an interview process and you're anxious, your executive functioning lessons, or especially when I'm trying to explain something. I'm a visual thinker, and I think mainly in pictures. It's like a total movie going on at all times, and it blew my mind to realize that not everybody sees pictures in their mind. And when you learn that visual thinkers think faster than they speak, and especially in times of high anxiety, it's hard. It's almost like you're like deciphering a language. It's hard to get the words out, so you can sound not as intelligent. You can sound like your words are jumbled, which is not what you're trying to portray. But when you understand that that's what it is, you give yourself some grace, and you can even say, like, it's easier if I just like write it down and tell you, so then it'll be clear, and make it like a no big deal, but it's an accepting. I like it.
Yeah, and just like for me, like I hated reading in school. You know how they would call you in English class? Oh, go read the next line. Like I hated English class because I'm like, I do not want to be called out right now, because even though I probably know the word and I physically can see it, my brain can't compute because I am so high anxiety that I can't even read in front of the class right now. And there's even words like when I do like bio introductions for the radio show, and I laugh at myself. I've decided, like you said, give myself grace and just laugh at it. And I make a comment like, oh, sorry, that's my dyslexia again, like chiming on in, like I'm struggling with this word. There was actually a word in your bio. I was like, I'm just going to switch this. And I'm like, I've noticed that like when I don't know people's names either, a lot of dyslexic people can probably relate to this. ADHD, neurodivergent. If I can't see your name, I'm like, hey, you.
My mom used to do that all the time growing up. Everyone was like, Guy. I was like an 86 something. Like, hey, Guy, how you doing, Guy? How you doing?
It's not to be rude or disrespectful.
No, everybody.
Yeah.
You just saying English class and having to read out in class, it was just like I could feel the cold sweat going down my, and like waiting for your turn and like reading it over and over again to be like, I got it. And then when it's your turn, you see the words and you're like, you know it, but they can't come out. Or even words that like there's so many words I can't say, and I have to like really slowly enunciate them to like get them out of my mouth, and half the time it doesn't work. So I totally feel that as well.
Yes. We had Alana on, and we're both Métis, proud Métis, and Indigenous. And that word for me is very hard. And so I told her after the show, I'm like, I practice so hard and I have Post-its in front of me to make sure I pronounce it right, because I want us to be proud of our culture too. I'm like, I am so sweaty.
Right?
But I'm pushing myself on the radio show so much more in my comfort zone, because these topics are so important to me and individuals. And that's part of the breaking down societal norms that I want us as society to start talking more about.
I love that. I have such a hard time. Like most of my time is in training and presentations. And it's hard to be able to express what neurodiversity is and what neurodivergent is, to even really depict what it looks like, because it presents so differently in every single person I've ever met. And it changes for every person, during times of anxiety or menopause or like different transitional times in life. Mm-hmm. And I want to be able to express how it feels, or like how, like in different situations, like what's going on in the body, so that you can have that care and connection. Mm-hmm. So it's not just something like, okay, yeah, I've learned about this and like, check, we got it. For it to be effective behavior change within an organization or within a group of people or whatever, that if I can give that little bit of information so that you're like, you connect to it, so that you take the time to like learn about the people on your team and the people in your organization and how they work best and how they communicate best, at a human empathetic level, is like the only way that it seems to be able to be effective. And I think this is why I feel like I'm like working for pennies, is every single presentation I do, even if I have one created, I feel like it's like I'm not getting it. It hasn't like hit that mark, and I'll redo it and redo it and redo it. And I don't think anyone would ever notice but myself. Mm-hmm. And it's like insanity making, because I can't let it go, because I want to be able to like impart that. Mm-hmm. And I think that like people like you and I and others who kind of had these experiences growing up, this is why we do it, so that we can help it, so other people don't have to go through it, and to be like, it's okay, I get it, I got you, here's some things, what do you think about this? And like having that knowledge base, so that we can kind of like come together, and it's like it's no big deal. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
When I went through, so I got diagnosed at, I think 7, 8 ish. So I got diagnosed, and really at the end of the day, I never fully understood what dyslexia was. period, other than I needed special support for reading, writing, math, all the things. Like we were just talking about Julie. Julie would make fun of me because she would never understand my text messages. When we got into the phone genre of texting, I'm like, oh, there goes Brittany again. And I'm like, and my brain is like, everyone can read my text messages, but really no one could read it. Just like decode my messages. But long story short, I really want people to understand, even in the school systems. Like I personally thought the school systems, it has changed a little bit for the better, but there's still more issues that we need to talk about too and have the extra support. There is also within the workplace as well, the extra support. There's a lot of women on my team that are neurodivergent, and I take the time to understand what is their strengths, what is their weaknesses, and how can we come in as a team to really support each other. So sometimes it could be like time management issues. So there's so much tech in the world. So how can we leverage tech to make sure that we're locked in and have those little reminders to kind of move us to the next task if we need that extra support? Or can I come in as a manager to support that team member to, if they're stuck in a certain way?
That's a good question and a loaded question. Mm-hmm. So first of all, yes, with the schools and with workplaces, it is so, like I had a background in this, and I had the kids, have their IEPs, and trying to get everything implemented with a background. I can't imagine for families who don't have a background, how hard it is. And there's so many people who are trying to help. And kudos to all the teachers who are trying to manage all these different kids and neurotypes and stay within policies and procedures. It just seems like the larger the organization, the harder it is to create change and to all those things. So I feel for all the parents and the teachers and everything else.
100%.
So for tech, thank you to be, to take the time to understand your team and ask them their strengths, their weaknesses, how they work best. And I think this is first of all, the biggest barrier, because within our culture, we don't want to share our weaknesses. No. We're afraid of, it's how people are going to view me, how our perception, it's like, you do the interview, what's your weaknesses? Oh, I'm a perfectionist. I work too long of an hours. To that, it's because we're afraid to show who we really are. I have created this work style profile of how people best work, learn, and communicate so that they can share with their team. Mm-hmm. And so things if you want me to do something, don't send it in a text, send it in an email, because a text is gone and I will never remember. All these different types of things. I work best in the morning. So if you want me to have something with mental cognition, book me in the morning, different things like this. And I was presenting to 500 people. And I said, how would you feel if your manager gave this to you? And overwhelmingly people were like, how is this going to be used? I don't feel comfortable with this be used against me. And at first I was shocked, because I was like, this is just you, how you work and communicate. And I've been working connected through doing this work now with a lot of people in the UK and Australia. And it seems a lot more commonplace to be using these types of tools. Mm-hmm. I was talking to this one woman in Australia. Her name is Sam, and she was a upper management EDI manager for a tech company, and the majority of her organization is neurodivergent. And so they have this type of profile on their computer, and she would just say hey, everybody, someone new is coming in, make sure that your profile's updated so that they know that, what times to reach you, when not to reach you, if they're not getting whatever. And she's like, I don't need to know your label. I just need to know how you work best. And so by understanding, if you can get your culture of your organization to the point where it's okay to share your weaknesses, to be it's not going to hinder you in any way, mm-hmm. but to be able to put in those supports. Mm-hmm. And what I try to promote, which seems to be beneficial in so many levels is universal design, so that having all the different adjustments available to everybody to use if they need to. So like adaptive software is really great for someone who is dyslexic or ADHD, but it's also great for someone who has English as a second language, or it's also great for someone who is a mother and wants to hear her emails read out and she's working at home while she's making craft dinner for her kids. So it helps so many people, as well as brings everyone together because there's no segregation. Now, tech and time, like what was the word? Sorry, time management. Time management. It's my kryptonite, man. It's my kryptonite. I all the time. I'm trying to. I know the strategies, and I think that's the first thing is strategies. You have to find ones that work for you, and because especially with a lot of our interest-based nervous systems, to be able to give the grace that, if let's say you have this new calendar thing that you've decided you're excited to get, put together, and you do all the tabs and whatever else, and it works for a little bit and then it doesn't. You're just like, oh, why isn't it working? And it's like, well, it worked. It had its purpose. It was interesting. It worked for a while. And, now it's not exciting anymore. You go on to the next thing. For myself, I really like, it's like a cube timer. I don't have it at this desk, but there's a cube timer. And so it has like different denominations around the side. And so you can get them with different amounts. It'll be like, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, or like 10, 20, 50, an hour, whatever. And it's, yes, you can put, is it okay?
Oh yeah. I've never even heard of it. A cube. So it looks like a cube.
Yeah. It's like,
so I just was going to chime in there for a little bit. I think for employers, because
when you put it on so it has a digital on the one side, and so you can put it on your phone, whatever. But that's like a number of different. You have to open your phone and do whatever. So like this one, let's say you want 15 minutes, you put it on the 15-minute side, and the digital side automatically starts at 15. But then you're like, actually, I need 20 minutes. If you flip it onto the 20 side, it restarts without having to press any buttons. So the good thing with this is, if you are having a hard time getting started, you can say, okay, I'm going to work for 15 minutes and then take a break and walk around or do whatever, is so that you can get into it. But also if you know that you're really into hyper-focus and you're going to have a hard time getting out of it, to say, put it on for, a longer amount of time so that it's your reminder to get off. Time blocking and less transitions is huge. So what I do is I have like all my meetings in one day, so that I don't have to go back and forth as much as possible. So I have larger periods of head down time, or use head down time in the mornings, because by the afternoon, my cognition takes a big deep dive. So I do more like things that email return or things that don't take as much effort. So many things, but just, keep trying. And when it doesn't work, try something new and don't feel bad about it.
So I was going to go back to, I feel like as employees sometimes are scared to talk to the higher ups, executives, to share our weaknesses. And so for me, I don't consider myself a higher up, even though I own my company. I consider us all equal. And I really work with the team so they know my weaknesses too, because I wouldn't be a team without them. And I advocate that. I really repeat that when I work with my team. And I don't know do you see that, the what is it? The quizzes that you do, Myers-Briggs?
Yes.
What is your intake on that? I'm a little biased and I say, no, thank you.
Well, and the research says no, thank you as well. It's really hard. The way the questions are asked, and with a lot of the different personality tests, and they can be a little bit biased and not really give a true
of who you.
Yes. And it's funny because I'm part of this like neurodivergent like community, and they were talking about a number of different assessments that are more strength based. And I'm meeting with one of the psychologists soon to like go over all of these different assessments just to see if they kind of align. It was like a little experimenty thing. But I think you pointed out something that's really important is if leadership isn't vested in being open and being open to trying different things and being open to showing their own weaknesses, is really quite difficult to be able to have any change within the organization. Like you were saying, Julie and I worked together for many years and a number of the clinicians were neurodivergent. It was just very kind of commonplace. Like if I had a hard time focusing, I would, talk to one of the occupational therapists and she'd be like, oh, try a wiggle chair, or like, once an hour, like do a loop around, go for a walk, get some fresh air, or do some heavy lifting, and that'll help your focus. So it was just was. And because we all felt so comfortable, let's say I was doing a regional rounds, like a team meeting, I would say to everybody, I'd be like, okay, listen, if you want me to do something, like send me an email, please remind me. Don't feel bad about reminding me. Like, these are the different things that I try. And because I was really open with it, people were more open to come to me to ask for help, but also like to tell me what they tried and that works. And I learned, and it was more, and you get more information about what systems are working well, and how you're going to, for everything to be successful within the organization on all levels, you have to have trust, and people have to feel like they have purpose and value. It's like innate, humans need this. And by showing that respect that you do to your team is why that it will work so well, that people are going to be sharing with you. It's hugely important. Yeah. And then later on, when I found out that was actually, universal design, and we were just kind of doing it without realizing it was labeled, it was kind of nice to, usually you learn a system in theory, and then you try to implement it, where we were already doing it. And then I was a name for it, and that it was a good thing to do. So I'm glad we're on the right track.
Had somebody that came in and asked us to do I was going to talk about the Kolbe report. If you've ever heard of the Kolbe reports, have you heard about them? The Kolbe.
I heard about them, but I don't have that much experience with them.
I actually think I'm pleasantly surprised with the Kolbe from my end, because I'm usually, I can do an introduction for you who actually specialize in the Kolbe report. So I did, I dug in myself and learned more about it. And I'm like, you can convince me maybe to do some kind of quiz to see how so what they do is really look at kind of who you are as a person, your strengths. And then from there, they will build the report. I'll dig in after the show and send it to you. But I just find that it actually works with you as a person a little bit than the Myers-Briggs ones. Because with the Myers-Briggs ones, I feel like whenever I take that exam, I'm never the same results. It's never the same results for me. I'm like so many different people.
It's been so long since I've done one. I can't even remember what my results were. The one that a number of these the neurodivergent clinicians that I've been meeting with, they were talking about the big five, and they all seem to like the big five. So I just completed that one, and we're going to kind of like talk it out, because it was a little bit confusing for me to understand the results. So I'll have to get back to you and tell you how that goes.
Yeah, keep me posted on that. I'm kind of a bit biased on, I guess, giving somebody an exam and then be like, that's who you are, and let's just label you, versus really getting to know the person. I think that's maybe why I'm just kind of like, I don't think any exam can tell me who Bob is, without me actually sitting down and getting to know Bob.
It's true. And I feel like like we all change all the time. And well, on one thing is a lot of different assessments. I'm so literal. And when they say, you know, are you like, this is more like a different type of assessment, like, you know, how are you in social situations? Like, are you awkward and uncomfortable? And I'm always like, well, that depends. Like, how many people are there? Like, where are we? Do I know them? Like, you know, I find it hard to answer questions because I get too literal.
Yeah. Same.
And
what are we saying? Like, I'm like introvert, extrovert, and it depends on like if I'm going to an event and then it's like 6 people, I'm like, okay. But then once all of a sudden I walk in, it's a huge, my anxiety and my introvert starts to come a little bit to me. I'm like, maybe I don't want to be here right now.
See, and I'm the same way, and people don't believe me. They always think that when I say, well, I get really introverted, and they're like, no, you don't. Like crowds for the most part don't bother me. Like Christmas crowds different, but depending on certain situations, like I like to meet people, talk to people, more so one-on-one or small groups. But I love going out, and I just seem to be like, I'm like the loud talky one. But once I'm out, once I come back in, it's like 2 or 3 days. I don't want to talk or see anybody. And it's like that because they don't see that part. They don't, it's like, no, you know, they don't believe it.
Yeah.
I also learned a term the other day. It's called multiplicity. And I kind of really like it. I just started reading about it. I don't really know it to full extent. And it was talking about how, actually, it was this one psychologist, Dr. Megan and Nuff. She has her website is Neurodivergent Insights, and she has a podcast, Neurodivergent Conversations, and I highly recommend. But she was discussing this, and like more in like Western philosophies, we're always trying to find like our true self and like trying to figure out who we really are on the inside. And multiplicity, I believe it is that we all have many, many layers, and like our different selves come out in different environments. Like when I'm, you know, with my friends, like being goofy and, you know, kind of childlike, and there's that side of me. And then, you know, I've always loved to paint and draw, and like I feel like that part of me is an important part of me. And when I'm in my 95 Bronco with my 2 wolf dogs and my board and my paint, that feels like me. And then there's the mom me, and you know, that's so important. But it's the different layers to our complexity. Like I feel like there's a lot of true selves, and different important and more come out at different times of your life. You know, when it's important for you and your values and your people.
100%. I'm going to look that up after the show. Interesting, because that's so true, I think, because I can see that, just you speaking on that, like I can see I'm a mom of 2 little ones, as some of the listeners know, and when I'm with them, I'm mama. And then when I'm with my friends, like Jules, she's known me since kindergarten. So she's seeing me in different levels of my stages and just like fully accepts who I am. So it's just in my brain, I feel like there's no filter because I know I'm not going to be judged, you know. And then I have like, you know, like maybe professional events where I'm more of an introvert, extrovert. Like it depends on the scenario. I would say I'm pretty shy.
It's funny, and it used to really surprise me when I'd be like, how can I be like with this group of people and I'm on fire, and I, you know, like things just come to me, and you know, they sound intelligent and they sound great, and then other places I'm like, I can't even like string a sentence together, and people, I get the head tilt. I hate that. You know, like what did she say? Where is she off onto? And it's it's, I don't even know where I was going with that. It's just I find it so interesting how we can be different in different places and with different people, and how it makes you feel on the inside. And speaking of Julie and accepting who you are. Mm-hmm. I remember we were at work, and this was maybe a year or two after I had got my first diagnosis, and I was really self-conscious. And I, my whole life, I had never thought that I was very smart, and it's almost like you're in your shell, right? You're in your, like, anytime, like, you want people to perceive you as a good, kind, intelligent person.
Yes.
And my talking has always embarrassed me, that I had, talked too much or shared too much. And I, every time I go anywhere, like, while I'm driving there, I'm like, Lisa, be quiet. Don't say too much. Like, keep it down. Like, and, I had met with my doctor, and they told me about this medicine called guanfacine, which is kind of like it's not a stimulant. You can use it along with stimulants, but it's like a impulse inhibitor. And so he called it the anti-talking medicine, so that you don't talk as much.
I feel like I need that sometimes.
Oh. Well, so I was at work, and I was like, oh, this is great, because I always felt like I was too much at work. Mm-hmm. And Julie was there, and I said, Julie, like, listen, I'm going to be taking this medicine so that, I won't talk as much. And she's like, I don't know if you should. Like, I really like you for who you are, and I don't want you to change. And it touched me so much, because, like, in my mind, I was like, well, I'm taking this for you. Like, I'm taking this for all of you. It wasn't for me, like, in my head. But the thought that, like, she thought I was okay. Like, I just assumed everyone just thought that I was, like, too much and just too many words, all the twos. And to know that she was like, she didn't say, thank you, hurry up, take some more. She was just like, no, I like you the way you are. And I always think about that, and I appreciate that more than anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She's one of my besties, like I told you. And if you're listening, Jules, shout out to you. You're a fine soul.
100%.
And I think, though, like, because even growing up, like, I didn't even know that dyslexia was neurodivergent, really. Like, I would say only in the last few years, I feel like, oh, I get it. Like, I know I talked about this with my mom, and I think it was kind of like, no, it's not classified under that. And it's like, the more I started doing research, I'm like, yes, it is. And I think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that it's just so nice that there's more of a focus and more of a spotlight on the different neurotypes, so that people are feeling more comfortable to talk about it, but also to understand, because it's so much to learn, and there's so much complexity, and like, like, we have, like, our different, like, boxes or labels of, like, autism and ADHD, dyslexia, Tourette's, like, all these different divergences, and so many of the traits overlap. And, like, on one hand, it's like, people don't fit in boxes, but people do need structure to start to understand the boxes. So it's like a good place to start, to kind of get your idea around it, but then to say, like, to know that brains are so much more nuanced than that. And we kind of all flow out of our boxes, and that's great. But to be able to learn such a great capacity of information, we kind of need that structure to get it in our heads, because it's so much. And it's so, the more you learn, the more fascinating it is.
Yes, 100%. And I want to, like I said, learn more for my kiddos, because we're going through the process of diagnosis stages. And so I want to make sure I can support them as much as we need. If they need extra time doing X, Y, and Z, it's there. And that's the kind of stuff that my mom did for myself. And so I was lucky enough to know that I had a mom that did support me, to have those extra tutors and all the things in between. I struggled in school because some of the teachers back in the day didn't really, even in university, to be honest, told me that I wasn't smart enough to be in the class. And it wasn't, and there's a lot of good other teachers out there too, but I feel like we need to have a better understanding as a whole in society of how we can make space for everyone, because there is space for everyone.
Oh, 100%. I remember my grade 9 French teacher told me not to take French anymore because I wasn't going to learn it. And it was funny because like growing up, I always wanted to be a linguist. And when she told me that, I just dropped it. And it's like, she would probably not even remember or really realize that she said it, and like the effect her words had on me. I'm turning 50 this year, 3 months, 4 days, not that I'm counting. Well, and that's why I think it's so important to have like universal design elements in schools as well. It's like if everyone needs extra time, for whoever needs it, they can use it. Like if you have to use a little bit of extra time, like why it's not a cheating, it's not an advance, it's just a little bit of extra time to be able to process it. Like isn't it the point is that you understand the information? My daughter was for one of her courses, she decided to do SKIES, like the home learning. Okay. And they let them write the test 3 times, and you can take the best mark. And the people were at first like, well, why would you do that? But I'm like, well, why not? If she wrote the test 3 times, that's 3 times that information is going in. That repetition, seeing it in multiple examples, different ways, get whatever it is. The point is that she's learning it, is it not? Right? It's like to have that open mind for all the kids, and not have as my kids have come home past when the teacher will be like, hey, anyone who needs extra help, line up. We're going out to the special room. They're like, I'm not standing up. So even if they do need it, they don't need to be called out and embarrassed.
Yeah. And I don't know, our school that I'm seeing with what my daughter's in, they call it the Inclusive Center, which I appreciate, because when I was in school, they called it, oh my goodness, I can't remember. I erased it from my memory, but I just know that the whole school knew that it was considered where the dumb people went. Yes. And then you also had to give a yellow slip in front of everybody to the teacher that you know what I mean? Like, so there's been certain scenarios where growing up, I felt like I had a target on my back that I had to announce it to the classroom. And I know it's changed a lot since I've been in school, but I think we need to just take it another level. What does that look like? I don't know. But I just want to make sure that everyone feels that they're inclusive space, that there's a space for them to learn and be accepted.
I love that your daughter's school does that, and that they're able to create the environment that's how that room is viewed. And so it's able to be done. You know what I mean? And to be able to, it's the attitudes and the way the information is presented is the biggest effect on the team and the school and the kids.
I don't know if all schools do that, but that if anyone's listening that is in a school, I just think the different changes in the language that we can use goes a long way. So having just the inclusive room, I'm like, oh, I actually really like that. That's just makes like it, it like shifts you feeling like I'm being in this room and I'm a one with everybody else still.
100%. And like a lot of it, like universal design principles, like in the way of mental health and cognition is like, yes, there are certain things that you can do that will help different neurotypes to be more successful within the environment. But a lot of those different tools and strategies work well for all brains. Like there's like science behind. So yes, I have ADHD, and it really helps me out to like go for a walk or get some movement to be able to process. But then there's also research that all brains do better on movement. So they gave like number of different test subjects a problem to solve. And some of the people went on walks to solve the problem, and other people were sitting stationary. And the people that were walking, their results were much more evolved and a better outcome. So if that goes for all brains, why not kind of like incorporate these different things to as an option if you would like to try them?
Yeah.
To help yourself out.
Yes. Yeah. Even like looking at organizations and how they've changed just the layout of the offices, where there's like the fun station. I don't know what that looks like, but I know there's some organizations that have like what is pinball or what I can't remember the name, like ping pong or whichever. Like they actually have a station that they can go relax, watch a video or whichever, and have those breaks versus just being sucked into the computer or work 24/7, because they see the balance of having that work play. And if they still get the work done, why does it matter?
Yeah. Humor and enjoyment is huge within the workplace and building culture. And to be able to normalize having these different areas, like I loved having like a collaborative area where we all kind of worked, but also like quiet workstations where I can't, if I'm trying to take in new information or I'm trying to work, I can't think, I can't even read. If people are moving and talking around me, I can see words, but I can't read them. And so like if the kids are here and I'm trying to like work, I'll be like, no moving and talking. Like nobody, I'm trying to read this. Nobody can move and talk right now.
Yeah.
And to normalize, if you're working and you're in a social, and like being social and around people drains you, and everyone gets together at lunch to socialize, and that's kind of your social norm, to make it okay socially that if people need to recharge, that is not seen as weird or strange or whatever. You could be like, oh, I'm peopled out right now. I need an hour just to be by myself. And like people would be like, whatever, great. And so that they can work in the afternoon and not kind of be shunned, or like giving information about what's going to be happening next so people can mentally prepare. Like there's all these like little things that are free or extremely inexpensive that can benefit all, just with a little forethought.
Exactly. And so like I love asking my team of like, how did that onboarding went? What can we do? And so like the new thing like I started doing for everyone when we take on any new clients is doing like a 90-day plan, not just for the client's sake, but for the team's sake, because then we know, and we don't have to like remind everyone, like it can't be a T because business is so dynamic. It changes all the time. Like we can't follow it always to a T, but at least we have like this general guideline for us, what's going to be happening in the first few days as we onboard. And there's that kind of expectation in a way, and we're all on the same page versus let's just jump right in and wish for the luck. And so many of the team members have been loving it because they just, and then it's a working collaborative document, just not just with the team, but with the client too. So we can move things around as we need.
See, that's perfect. Like we all do better with some structure. You know what's going to be happening. It's reminders. You have like your 90-day plan, but there's room for flexibility. And the fact that you're always like checking back in. Okay, so we did this. How's that working? Okay, so we can tweak that for later. We can every time there's like, it's dynamic and creative, and there's room for change and different ideas, but the structure's there. And like, once you get to that certain point, you can use that, or you can go a different way. Whenever I used to do a ton of hiring when, at the last organization I worked for. And I would always say whenever I was doing my intakes and orientations, I'd be like, okay, everybody, like you're my guinea pigs. I want to make it better for the people after you. So any feedback you can get, like what material worked, what didn't, what you appreciated, other ideas on how I can change it. So I was constantly tweaking it and revising it. And not only that, is you're giving your people that purpose and value. They're like, oh, actually cares about my opinion and it's going to take what I say into effect. Is like, that's how you get retention. That's how you get people who are like excited to be there and like, to try new things. Like it's, I love that. Perfect. Like,
I used to work in the tech industry, and I remember there was a comment that like, I don't like classifying millennials or baby boomer. Like, I really don't. I just remember being in a client meeting and they're like, oh, millennials, they like to change it up all the time and go through workplace to workplace. And I was like, only one, I was like, I'm a millennial and I'm literally sitting in this meeting and I feel so awkward.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me just grab my stuff and leave because obviously I'm not valued to be here. So
it's the bias again, where there are some, similarities and values that seem to hold true to the different generations.
mm-hmm.
But when you see it in a negative light, like again, everyone's an individual. I was hearing about some organizations doing generational mentorship. And I love that, so that you have like someone who has more experience and like the different ideas and to be able to see different point of view so that it can keep what you're doing fresh and interesting. Like I love that so much. But yeah, when people have that reflection of, oh, all millennials, all Gen Z, they just do this. Oh, the phones. It's unfair.
Obviously I don't work there anymore, but I just remember being like, wow, that just kind of like opened my eyes a little bit too, being like, nope, I don't want to work with an organization that thinks that no one who is a millennial has value. I feel everyone has a value, a worth, no matter their age, gender, whichever. We can all make an open place and sit down at the table together, but you have to have be open-minded to it than just classify somebody like, nope, that's you and done.
Yeah. And it's something that has to be learned to be able to reflect back on yourself, and you're like, why am I thinking this? Why am I responding this way? Mm-hmm. I remember early on in my management career, I wasn't going to hire somebody on because I thought it was going to be too much work. Mm-hmm. She had English as a second language, and I didn't know how I would teach her. And I was like, I'm so busy and like still trying to get everything, trying to like figure everything out. And I just didn't see how it would work. And I remember telling one of our directors, and she was like, Lisa, like, it is your job to learn how each person learns and works best. Like, you saying no to this person is biased and shitty. Mm-hmm. And you need to be open to different backgrounds and experiences and whatever else. Mm-hmm. And so I hired her, and she honestly was the best employee. Because I wasn't a jerk, and actually took the time and listened to that and learned how she learned. And she was so passionate, and she just like ate up everything, and she went over and above all the time, and she had so much care and so much passion. It was like something I never forgot. That was probably like 15 years ago. Oh my word. Yeah.
We're almost at time. I'm just looking at the time. I'll just quickly say this little story, because I wear many hats when I work with clients. So I'm like a VA, OBM, I do consulting. I sometimes hire if they need to hire somebody onto a team. And I did like a job posting for a client, and I interviewed a few people, and I just loved this one particular person. And I was like, she seems so kind. She's soft-spoken. I really she made a comment that she got let go. And I was like, you're in. And I remember talking to my client. They're like, should we be like concerned about the red flag? I'm like, no, I'm telling you, this is the one. And now she's just blowing like my client's mind because she's just killing it left, right, and center. I'm like, I told you. I was like, we just need to. And
yes. All those things. Like again, that was I have learned so much from hiring. I used to find like these amazing resumes, and they were like blow away resumes, and the person didn't really care about the position, and it just didn't fit. And so to really, and when you see gaps on resumes, people are like, it's a red flag, but like people have lives, things happen, like
family, it can
yes,
family, all the things. So I just want to, because we're at time, and I don't want to get over somebody else's radio show time too. But just, I want to say, like I say this on all the shows, is give yourself grace, that person grace, and ask curious questions, and just be open to learning.
100%. Yes.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for coming on the show. We didn't even say the midway. Sorry, everyone. For everyone, I'm Brittany Ashley. We are listening to Breaking Norms, Building Dreams. Next week, we'll have Kirsten, who specializes in psychology, emotional, and social aspects of men's health, which I'm excited to kind of dig in a little bit on that, because I think it's important for men to go in and talk about their emotions, as well as women. So I'm so excited for you to come in, Lisa. We'll definitely have you back. And everyone, please leave any other questions. I can send Lisa, and Lisa's website is here at www.mindmosaic.ca for anyone listening. And with that, just everyone know that remember your journey, and your worth is unquestionable. Thank you.